may ask why Interreg Europe is organizing the event Europe Let's Cooperate on the COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 crisis has had an enormous global impact. Regions all over Europe are hit by the short-term economic effects and will face the consequences for a much longer time. The aim of the event is therefore to show how interregional cooperation can help regions to recover from the COVID-19 crisis and help them to emerge much stronger than before. As a program for regions and by regions, we have the capacity, we feel the need and the responsibility to help. We want to share the experience and the good practices to help the regions to face the challenges they face in terms of economic, environmental, but also societal challenges. About 90% of all regions in Europe use already the tools of Interreg Europe. They have the experience and the good practices to share, and they want to share to help all of you. Now, perhaps more than ever, it's time to cooperate. We all struggle with the same issues, but we can all solve them together. So I invite you to join us on 9th of June to Europe Let's Cooperate.
The Hauts-de-France region was selected managing authority of the Interreg Europe program in March, and we are so happy about continuing the adventure of the Interreg Europe program. And thanks so much the member state for the trust and common cooperation spirit we have together. And in these times where there are lots of things going on in Europe, and it's difficult times, it's so important to continue the cooperation and to see projects and people exchanging, even if the borders were closed. In this moment of crisis, COVID-19 crisis, we try to find solutions for our projects and for our beneficiaries to adapt projects and their deliveries, to have a large communication about measures we put in place and they can use to have more delays, to have progress report coming in later because they can't deliver right now, and to have a day-to-day dialogue with all of them to see how to find common solutions and adapt in the situation. We think that is really important in these specific times to do so.
Networking has always been at the heart for all Interreg Europe events. So this will not be any different this time, even if we meet online. In the Let's Share section of our website, you can share your ideas and discuss with your peers. Or you can post your challenges and ask for help and advice. Everyone can see those posts and contribute to the discussions and exchanges. Attendees list, you should check that as well. By using various filters, you will be able to find a good match and contact relevant people. As sociologist Roland Bourne said, instead of better glasses, your network gives you better eyes So use our networking features before, during, and after the event.
You may ask why Interreg Europe is organizing the event Europe Let's Cooperate on the COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 crisis has had an enormous global impact. Regions all over Europe are hit by the short-term economic effects and will face the consequences for much longer time. The aim of the event is therefore to show how interregional cooperation can help regions to recover from the COVID-19 crisis and help them to emerge much stronger than before. As a program for regions and by regions, we have the capacity, we feel the need and the responsibility to help. We want to share the experience and the good practices to help the regions to face the challenges they face in terms of economic, environmental, but also societal challenges. About 90% of all regions in Europe use already the tools of Interreg Europe. They have the experience and the good practices to share, and they want to share to help all of you. Now, perhaps more than ever, it's time to cooperate. We all struggle with the same issues, but we can all solve them together. So I invite you to join us on 9th of June to Europe Let's Cooperate.
The Hauts-de-France region was selected managing authority of the Interreg Europe program in March, and we are so happy about continuing the adventure of the Interreg Europe program. And thanks so much the member state for the trust and common cooperation spirit we have together. And in these times where there are lots of things going on in Europe and it's difficult times, it's so important to continue the cooperation and to see projects and people exchanging, even if the borders were closed. In this moment of crisis, COVID-19 crisis, we try to find solutions for our projects and for our beneficiaries to adapt projects and their deliveries, to have a large communication about measures we put in place and they can use to have more delays, to have progress report coming in later because they can't deliver right now, and to have a day-to-day dialogue with all of them to see how to find common solutions and adapt in the situation. We think that it's really important in these specific times to do so.
Networking has always been at the heart for all Interreg Europe events. So this will not be any different this time, even if we meet online. In the Let's Share section of our website, you can share your ideas and discuss with your peers. Or you can post your challenges and ask for help and advice. Everyone can see those posts and contribute to the discussions and exchanges. Attendees list, you should check that as well. By using various filters, you will be able to find a good match and contact relevant people. As sociologist Roland Burns said, instead of better glasses, your network gives you better eyes. So use our networking features before, during, and after the event.
You may ask why Interreg Europe is organizing the event Europe Let's Cooperate on the COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 crisis has had an enormous global impact. Regions all over Europe are hit by the short-term economic effects and will face the consequences for much longer time. The aim of the event is therefore to show how interregional cooperation can help regions to recover from the COVID-19 crisis and help them to emerge much stronger than before. As a program for regions and by regions, we have the capacity, we feel the need and the responsibility to help. We want to share the experience and the good practices to help the regions to face the challenges they face in terms of economic, environmental, but also societal challenges. About 90% of all regions in Europe use already the tools of Interreg Europe. They have the experience and the good practices to share, and they want to share to help all of you. Now, perhaps more than ever, it's time to cooperate. We all struggle with the same issues, but we can all solve them together. So I invite you to join us on 9th of June to Europe Let's Cooperate.
The Hauts-de-France region was selected managing authority of the Interreg Europe program in March, and we are so happy about continuing the adventure of the Interreg Europe program. And thanks so much the member state for the trust and common cooperation spirit we have together. And in these times where there are lots of things going on in Europe and it's difficult times, it's so important to continue the cooperation and to see projects and people exchanging, even if the borders were closed. In this moment of crisis, COVID-19 crisis, we try to find solutions for our projects and for our beneficiaries to adapt projects and their deliveries, to have a large communication about measures we put in place and they can use to have more delays, to have progress report coming in later because they can't deliver right now, and to have a day-to-day dialogue with all of them to see how to find common solutions and adapt in the situation. We think that it's really important in these specific times to do so.
Networking has always been at the heart for all Interreg Europe events, so this will not be any different this time, even if we meet online. In the Let's Share section of our website, you can share your ideas and discuss with your peers. Or you can post your challenges and ask for help and advice. Everyone can see those posts and contribute to the discussions and exchanges. Attendees list, you should check that as well. By using various filters, you will be able to find a good match and contact relevant people. As sociologist Roland Bourne said, instead of better glasses, your network gives you better eyes. So use our networking features before, during, and after the event.
The Interregional Cooperation Forum brought to you by Interreg Europe. My name is Miia, I will be your host today, and I'm so happy to have you here with us. We're going to be talking about recovery and resilience and how we can share
We do the video once more? Yeah, the video will run once more.
Irma, they can hear you talking apparently. They can hear you talking. Hello and welcome to Europe Let's Cooperate, the Interregional Cooperation Forum brought to you by Interreg Europe. My name is Miia and I will be your host today, and I'm happy to have you on board. Even with slight technical difficulties, we're finally getting started, and we're going to be talking about recovery and resilience and sharing solutions. This is going to be an event for you. So before we dive into our very full packed agenda today, I want to share a few housekeeping notes. We are currently being streamed live on the Interreg Europe Cooperates website, in Facebook, as well as on YouTube. So whichever channel you've chosen to follow us today, we're glad to have you here. But it's not only for you to watch, we also want you to participate. You can contribute on social media using hashtag #EuropeCooperates. There's also another way for you to participate, and that is through Slido. Slido is the tool we're going to be using to discuss. We're going to run some polls. You can ask questions. We have a whole team helping you with questions, giving you answers, and you can do all that in Slido. We actually have a first poll already running, so go to Slido, give it a look, and I'll take you through the agenda in the meantime. We're going to talk about some solutions. We're going to hear from some project partners on what they have done and how you can benefit from their results and good practices, and how that can help you to face this crisis. We know that cooperation is very important, but But let's see a little bit how interregional cooperation plays into that mix and what exactly we can do together. We're also going to talk a little bit about the future, just so that you know what is waiting for you ahead. I hope you've made your way to Slido. And as I said, our first poll is already running. If we can get the results on the screen, let's have a look at what you expect from this event. I can see inspiration on a very, very big there in the middle. So inspiration is something that we hope to share. There's also some solutions. You're looking for inspiration, some synergies. All that is going to be a part of this event. Europe Cooperates does not happen without you. So keep feeding in, answer the polls, share your expectations, share your comments, keep posting on social media. Let us know where you're watching us from, maybe share a little picture. We have a whole team helping me out behind the scenes. So also give a quick shout out to them, maybe write hello in Slido, let them know you're following, and let's get going, because it's going to be a full program today. I want to move now to our first part of the program, which is going to be about cooperation still matters. We think that cooperation still matters, and we hope that at least by the end of this session, you will too. To kick things off, we're going to start our tour of Europe from the heart of Europe. We're going to head straight to Brussels and to the European Commission, and we will have a welcome message from the Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms, Elisa Ferreira. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Dear Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, in just one meeting, 70 years ago, Europe changed forever. A French minister, Robert Schuman, extended the open hand of his friendship to his former enemies. In the Schuman Declaration, he proposed acts of solidarity instead of acts of hostility, and cooperation, not conflict. Now, Robert Schuman was a realist. His head had many beautiful ideas, but his feet were firmly on the ground. He knew that an idea alone is not enough. The spark of an idea will only have an impact when it starts the motor of solid plans and actions. He said that the European house will not be built all at once, but brick by concrete acts of solidarity. That day, he proposed the first brick. And this is what we have done ever since, building brick by brick, acts of solidarity, acts of cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, you are a key part of this tradition. Over 900 participants today from 30 countries, from public sector, private sector, non-profits, coming together to discuss concrete acts of solidarity and cooperation. Robert Schuman would be proud. Over 2,000 partners from more than 200 European regions have been cooperating thanks to this Interreg program. These partners are trying to find solutions to common challenges they face, such as how to reduce the carbon footprint of targeted cultural industries, or how to improve energy efficiency through smart grids, or how to foster the digital economy in rural communities, or how to support enterprises to reap the benefits of digital innovation. The learning resulting from such cooperation can play an important role to achieve policy improvements that take us closer to the desired green and digital transitions. I trust that Interreg Europe could also help regions to exchange experience and build capacity in the health sector through promoting cooperation among relevant regional and local public bodies. In this particular field, it is good to know that the program is already supporting cooperation and learning around issues such as innovation in medical technology and the provision of health services in rural and remote areas. Health will be a key priority in the coming years, where we will have to draw the lessons from the current crisis. Today, more than ever, we need solidarity, we need cooperation. The crisis has reminding us that we will not find solutions by looking inward. We must look outward. We will not find solutions alone. We must work together. On the 27th of May, we in the European Commission took an unusual step. We proposed to use our excellent credit rating to borrow 750 billion on financial markets. This is unprecedented. We will use the money to respond to the immediate crisis, to repair the economy, and to promote a long-term recovery. Cohesion policy will play a key role. We will be in the vanguard, the first wave of support. As you know, across Europe, we are already providing first support on the ground, moving money to buy ventilators and protective gear and to support small and medium enterprises, teleworking, and so on. In the proposals of 27th of May, we get a 55 billion euro top-up to establish programs and a boosting of the Just Transition Fund to 40 billion. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this context, your discussions today are crucial. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary actions and for us to be extraordinary people. I encourage you to take inspiration from that extraordinary European, Robert Schuman. Head full of ideas, but feet firmly on the ground. Concrete actions of solidarity, concrete actions of cooperation. Remember, this is the spark that changes the continent. I wish you a fruitful discussion and, of course, good health to you and your families.
Thank you very much for this message. We completely agree. Cooperation is very important, and only together we can find a way out of this crisis. That's why we want to spend a little bit more time talking about cooperation and what exactly we can do together and what Interreg Europe can do in this mix. To do that, I'm going to be joined by our colleague Nicolas, our head of projects and platforms unit from the Interreg Europe Joint Secretariat. Before we start talking with Nico, we were asking you where you are joining us from. So if we can just have a quick look at the Slido of results again, let's see what kind of audience we have today. It seems to be a very, very varied audience, and I wouldn't expect anything less for a program that covers all of Europe, 30 different countries. And I see the cloud is getting bigger and bigger. Keep submitting your answers. We're going to give you a few more seconds to let us know which country you're in right now. After that, we're going to launch a little quiz about Interreg Europe so that you can test how much you know about the program as we go into the discussion with Nico. Because Nico, you saw the word cloud, and you see that we have a lot of different participants from different parts of the continent, of different parts of Europe. To those who might be less familiar with Interreg Europe, how would you summarize the program in a nutshell, very briefly?
Thank you, Miia. Good morning also to all from my side. I'm very happy to see so many participants today, including some people that may not be so familiar with Interreg Europe. So indeed, it's an opportunity to summarize as much as I can what Interreg Europe is about. Well, I would say that this program helps local and regional authorities in Europe to find new solutions to solve the challenges they are facing in their territories. And this, of course, in the 4 thematic areas the program is covering, meaning research and innovation, SME competitiveness, low carbon economy, and environment and resource efficiency. And to do so, the program supports exchange of experience, identification, transfer of practices through 2 main actions. The first one is well known. It's a case in any Interreg program. It's the projects. But we do that also through a more innovative initiative, which is called the Policy Learning Platform, and which is still open to all regions in Europe. I can tell you why this program is very unique, if you want, perhaps. I would mention 2 small things. It's unique because of its geographical coverage. It's the only Interreg program that covers all EU regions and all member states. And the program fosters very much the exchange between regions of different level of developments, lagging behind regions working with more advanced regions. That's the reason why we address directly the reduction of disparities, and we contribute to the cohesion policy more generally.
Yeah, that's true. Interreg Europe is a very unique program, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. How is it going in terms of the program implementation? I mean, what is coming out of all this? I mean, it sounds good, but can you shed a little bit of light on that?
Yes, of course. So the implementation was very smooth so far, at least until the crisis. I would mention first the projects. All the budget allocated to the project was voted at the beginning of last year, so more than 1 year ago. And the program supports now 258 projects in total. And these projects are also progressing well. Just for your information, almost half of all these projects have already finalized what we call in our jargon phase 1, the phase dedicated to the policy learning. So we really start to have a good insight into the program achievements, the program, thanks to the projects that are advanced enough. And then we have the second type of action, the policy learning platform, which is still open to all regions, provides services like peer reviews, like matchmaking sessions. That's a bit the beauty of this program. Although there's no longer opportunities with the project, the money is allocated, you can still benefit from Interreg Europe through the policy learning platform.
So activities are in full speed, a lot of things are going on, still ways to get involved. Can you say something about the results?
I can always say something about the results. I think this is what we are the most proud of, if I can say so. First, you have to know that we started collecting the results in 2018 when the first call projects were advanced enough. But since then, it's exponential. We keep on receiving results. We still harvest the fruits of cooperation on a day-to-day basis through the progress report of the projects. And even if I don't want to bombard you with a lot of figures and statistics, I think at least we need to go through the core result indicators of the program. And if I may, I would start first with what we call the activities, where we are in terms of activities. You will see on the slide that the projects have already identified more than 2,600 practices for their learning. More than 8,600 people have considered they increase their professional capacity thanks to their involvement in the project activities. And at program level, we have already validated 638 action plans, and this will increase in the coming days because we are still evaluating a lot of progress reports. You may ask me, why are we doing all this? Why so many activities, this mass of activities we are doing? I think the most important is the next slide, is that we want this learning to be transformed into actions. So what are exactly the results of these projects? We are very proud that so far the projects were able to demonstrate 327 policy change. This may mean new projects that are financed in the regions, launching new calls, reviewing the way I'm evaluating my innovation policies. There's a lot of possibility for this policy change. And when we can, we also try to estimate the financial impact of these changes. And you will see on the slide that we already reach more than 500 million euro of local, regional, national funding that has been allocated to financing these new ideas in the region. This is, I think, the best example of the leverage effect of this program. It has already exceeded our own budget for the whole Interreg Europe. If I may, I would like also to insist that each single policy change, each single euro influence is analyzed, cross-checked, and validated internally by the policy officers. In other words, you should take these figures really seriously. It's not taken for granted by the project. For projects, we are really asking them to justify each single results. In any case, what I'm saying may be very abstract. What is a policy change? All these figures. What I would advise our participants is simply to look at the program website, and more particularly to the section on the project results. There you will be able to find a lot of illustrations, examples, videos on what kind of benefits interregional cooperation can bring.
Definitely. And being this advanced in the program, it means that there are a lot of results and it's impossible to cover them in such a short amount of time. We do have some concrete examples coming very soon, so stay tuned for those. Before we go into that, I just want to go a little bit closer to the topic of today's discussion and the COVID-19 and the challenges we're facing. Nico, can you let us know maybe what the program is doing? How have we felt the impact and what are we doing about the current crisis?
Yes, this is an important question because, you know, in a program which is dedicated to interregional learning, where meeting the others, traveling, understanding how the other regions are developing solutions, visiting these solutions, you can imagine that the impact of the COVID-19 was very strong on our activities. I may not develop all the measures. I just would like to mention that we have also dedicated a specific page on our website on these different measures. What I would just mention is that we have encouraged our community to exchange even more on practices that are relevant in times of crisis. And I would insist that it's not necessarily only in terms of economic recovery. It really covers our 4 priorities. I think we will hear nice example today, also in cultural heritage, for instance. So we have encouraged these projects to exchange even more on this. The second element I will mention, but it's more for the day-to-day implementation of projects, is that tomorrow with our member states during the monitoring committee, we will discuss further measures in order to help our projects. So very soon, we hope to be able to exchange these new measures with our lead partners to get their opinion, whether they are useful or not, and maybe also to give them the floor to see if they have any other ideas on the way the program can help in this difficult period.
Yes, I want to thank you for this, Nico. This is where we're going to stop right now because I want to go into those more concrete examples. So thank you very much. We're going to come back to Nico a little bit later. If you have any questions about the program implementation, our result, please send it through Slido. In addition to Nico, there's a whole team answering those questions. So whatever pops into your mind, how did you do in that quiz? Were there some open questions that you still need answers for? Share that in Slido. Now we are going to move to the next part of today's program, which is going to be adapting and getting ready to recover. And during this part of the program, we are going to continue our tour of Europe and visit 4 different project partners from different regions and hear about the solutions that they have found that could be useful also in this context as we try to look for ways to recover and build our resilience. So without further ado, let's continue our tour, head over to Slovenia to meet Anita Molka, who is a partner from the Trino project. They have a very interesting solution for developing new voucher scheme for SMEs, and I'm going to let Anita tell us more about it. Hello, Anita, can you hear us?
Yes, hello to everybody. I'm honored to be a speaker in this event. So I can start if that's okay?
Yes, kick us off. We are dying to hear, so let's see what you have done in Slovenia, and the floor is yours.
Slovenia has prepared the improved voucher scheme. This is actually also the result of Interreg Europe project Trino. During the local stakeholder group meetings, there was pointed out that SMEs need more financial incentives, especially in digital transformations, to have short and easy procedures. And also the previous voucher scheme was mentioned that didn't bring satisfactory results. The time to receive funds was too long, and also the SMEs needed to hire external experts to prepare the application. During the first meeting with the ministry that we had in April 2018, we presented Trino project and all good practices selected. And when we asked them what are their challenges, they said that they are preparing a new voucher scheme because they wanted to improve the previous voucher scheme to be more effective. And within the next project meeting, 3 good practices were identified in Ireland: pilot research voucher scheme, national innovation voucher scheme, and training online voucher scheme. We invited them, the ministry, to staff exchange, and they attended it in September 2018. On the staff exchange, all 3 good practices were presented, and trading online voucher was actually the one that was the most interesting one to be transferred in some parts to Slovenia. The ministry also had the opportunity there to speak with the SMEs that received the vouchers and gained very useful information. Also, after the staff exchange, they were in contact via phone, email, with the local enterprise office, and when they were preparing the new voucher scheme in Slovenia. So the new The good practice was transferred in some parts, and some calls were published already in January 2019. Vouchers are small incentives for, well, SMEs can receive from 300 euros to almost up to 10,000 euros of irreversible funds. This is for individual services. It is fast handling. They're available throughout the year. There is no deadline. The SMEs receive free support when they are applying for the voucher. This is from spot points, Slovenian business points. We have 12 of them, one in each statistical region. The co-financing is maximum 60% of eligible costs, and the company can receive free vouchers at the same time for implementation or 30,000 euros payments annually. Justified costs are from January 2019, but this depends on individual call. So each call is slightly different. There is also e-voucher available. This is something that was transferred also from the Irish good practice. And they could submit the application online, also to send the final request for payment with final report. There are 7 thematic areas of vouchers: protection of intellectual property, quality certificates, internationalization, ownership transfer, circular green economy, prototyping, and digitalization. Digitalization is actually very interesting, especially in the COVID-19 crisis, and it is the most popular among SMEs. Here, the voucher is the digitalization voucher is divided under 4 vouchers: digital competence enhancement, digital marketing, digital strategy, and cybersecurity. There is 22.5 million euros available for this 5-year period, which is 4.5 million euros yearly. So the policy instrument that was improved is operational program for the implementation of European cohesion policy. Improvement is a result of cooperation between Trino partner and the managing authority. And what was actually transferred in some parts to Slovenia? The first thing is that also the website can be established. It's eligible cost. Then e-voucher was established, so they can submit the applications online. And then the procedure, how to select external experts. They get free offers, and they can explain why they selected this external expert. It doesn't need to be the price, the only issue here. And there are also trained consultants on regional level in spot points to help SMEs with the application. This was the same in voucher scheme in Ireland. Let's see some of the results till March 2020. 14 different voucher calls were published, almost 3,000 vouchers approved, which is 10.8 million euros, and 988 vouchers already funded. Results in Slovenia are beyond expectations. The ministry really received positive feedbacks. And also our defined indicator in the action plan of Trino project, we said that 800 vouchers will be funded, and we in 2-year period, and this is something we already achieved. Well, I would like to conclude that in Slovenia, SMEs now receive vouchers quickly and easily. There is no deadline. The evaluation process is quick, also the time to receive funds. SMEs get increased knowledge, competences, added value, sales, development, growth, and voucher schemes are especially interesting in the COVID-19 crisis, since this is fast, dynamic, and simple way of allocating funds. As a result of the COVID-19, the voucher scheme in Slovenia was slightly adopted. So the deadline for the final report was prolonged for 3 months. With the voucher for digital competences, the training could also be online. So no physical contact was necessary. and they could submit the application with digital certificate. And since there was no counseling on spot point, the help was then provided via email or some online meetings. So this is it from my side. Thank you for your attention, and waiting for your questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Anita, for sharing that example with us. I think it's a very good example of what happens when you find the right mix, you find the kind of inspiration that you need. It really helps you speed things up further. And I'm also very impressed to hear that you've actually managed to not only create something new or improve something in your region, but also adapt it now to the current context. What I would maybe ask you for someone who might be thinking about voucher schemes for SMEs or launching such a scheme, based on the inspiration that you've pulled from the partners and gathered in the project, what would be kind of the main elements? Is it really that it's easy or fast or digital, or is there something in particular to keep in mind?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, it seems we have again some audio issues, so we're not going to take the question at this time. So what you can see from the Trino example is that really having a good partner or knowing some others outside of your own region can really help you to improve what you have. We have a Slido poll open right now, and we would like to know if something like this could also work in your region. So go and give us some feedback there. We are going to move to our next speaker. And let's see if our audio is going to work this time, because now that we've talked about SMEs and small businesses, we are going to move to our next destination. We're going to move to our next destination, and we're going to continue from Slovenia to Spain. And we're going to talk about a sector that has been very, very important in the past months. We're going to talk about innovation in the health sector. We're going to hear from José María Romero Fidalgo from the Galician Health Knowledge Agency. We're going to talk about a pilot action going on in their region, something inspired by the Titan project. I will let José María tell you more about it. I can already see that you're with us. If you could hear us, José María, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Miia. Yes, I will share my screen. Well, thank you very much to give us the opportunity to present our pilot action in the Orense Health Living Lab. And thank you very much for the audience to hear our project. Well, let me start by the very beginning about the Titan project. Titan project is a consortium of 7 European regions, Basque Country in Spain, Lombardy in Italy, Lower Silesia in Poland, Saxony in Germany, and the city of Almere in the Netherlands, and Scotland in the UK. And what we aim is to tackle the challenge of active and healthy aging by improving the quality and performance of the European health regional systems. So, well, in this project, we are already in phase 2, where we have to implement our action plans. I should mention that the learning exchange of this project was very well performed, with more than 50 good practices identified, divided in 3 thematic areas. We have held 6 workshops and 25 policy analysis of the good practices with in-situ visits. As I mentioned before, 7 plans, they were implemented between the consortium, that they were based on 12 Titan good practices with 4 policy changes. But let's mention about, in our case, the pilot action. Well, 2 years ago, we were awarded by the Interreg Europe with a pilot action that aims to test the Living Lab model in the health field before the implementation in the Galician health system. We were very happy to get the pilot action because we really think that we had the best scenario to test the Living Lab model in Galicia. We have the University Hospital Complex of Ourense, and we have to mention that Ourense is a province that reflects what will be the European population in year 2050. Here you can see some pictures of the experimental rooms that we have there in the hospital of Ourense. As you can see, we have all kinds of medical devices and innovative solutions to test new ideas for the elderly population. But what was the inspiration and the connection between the Titan project and our pilot action? Well, thanks to the Titan project, we have identified 4 good practices from Scotland, Basque Country, and also from the city of Almere. 2 of these good practices were in Osasun from our colleagues from BOF in Basque Country, with their in Osasun program, that they inspire us to the drafting of the specific terms of our public call, and also it helped us to write our application forms for the pilot action and the Living Lab in Ourense. On the other hand, we had some kind of inspirations and some ideas of inspiration, such as that the elderly people should be or must be involved in the evaluation of the technologies, and the idea of empowering the elderly people to improve their health, thanks to the Living Lab program that it is developed by our colleagues from the Digital Health and Care Institute. And as I mentioned before, the 2 other good practices that were a source of inspiration to develop the pilot action in Ourense and in Galicia were one from Almere, from our colleagues from Health Factory, that they have an initiative which fostered the collaboration and innovation, bringing together health and care providers, citizens, entrepreneurs, researchers, and the public administration. It gives us the idea of their government model and also their business case. And also it helps us to inspire our specific terms as regards to their service offered. And last but not least, our colleagues from Scotland, from the TIFTech Innovation Flow, they gave us some inspiration, such as their idea of the minimum viable product, also to develop a demo day, and also their application forms and terms of conditions. So, what we have developed right now in Galicia? Well, we have developed the Galician network of health living labs, called Lab Saude by their acronym. The idea is to test, and we are already testing the Living Lab model in Ourense, but to spread to all the Galician health areas. We have to mention, as you can see here in the map, that Galicia is divided in 7 health areas. Each of them is one of the main cities of our regions. And the network of the Galician public health system is composed by 14 hospitals, 500 primary care centers, and more than 36,000 healthcare professionals, also with researchers network. So, as you can see, each facility, each hospital, and each primary care center, we think that could be potential a living lab where companies and researchers and citizens as well can test innovative solutions, mainly focusing on the elderly population. What is our model? The quadricular helix. As in the open innovation model, we think that citizens and patients must be involved. Of course, businesses and the industry in general, businesses and clusters, the public administration, that in our case is the Galician Health Ministry, and as well as the academia, with researchers and also involving universities. How did we articulate it? Well, we are a public administration, so we have developed a public call that is already launched. And it's a public call for companies and also for research institutes that are around 6 innovation lines. Here you can see an overview of the 6 innovation lines that, as you can see, they are mainly focused on the elderly population, with innovation lines such as patient environment, the impact of the environment of the hospital stay, patients over 65 and chronically ill as well. But we didn't forget, ICTs and robotics and virtual reality, and we let open for new ideas such as biosecurity, new materials, food, textiles, or other ideas. So the Living Lab model, Lab Saúde, and our pilot action in this kind of COVID-19 crisis. Well, we have to think that right now, due to the COVID-19 crisis, it's very important to avoid investment in risk. So this kind of living lab model and the idea of testing the innovative solutions before going to the market, it's a good idea, especially if a company or a research institute aims to avoid investment in risk. On the other hand, we wanted, especially now, to launch this idea because we want to support companies that may innovate in the health sector. We have to think that the COVID-19 crisis show the importance of the health sector, especially also for companies and for businesses. And what we aim also to do, to eliminate the gap between the real demands of hospitals and patients and the industry. So we connect both the industry and also the real demands of the hospitals and patients as well. And what Lab Saúde can offer you? Well, it can offer you a faster and more effective response from agents who provide innovative solutions. And lastly, what are the results? What we aim to do? Well, we want to provide better health services and improve the quality of life on the elderly population. And how? By focusing on the demographic characteristics of Galicia, thinking as the European Commission recognized us as 4 stars reference site on the AIP or Haan network. And I think, and we really think that Galicia can be a good opportunity for companies to test their innovative solutions as regards to the elderly population. So thank you very much, and we are open for questions.
Thank you, José María. If you have any specific questions on this pilot action, please do send them through in Slido. For now, I don't see anything specific for you, but I would be interested because for me, this is a very good example of how you take good practices that from different regions, put it together and really adapt it to your needs. But especially now when we need new solutions and new innovation in the health, what do you think about this kind of lab model in general? Would that be something that you would see as useful for others to test as well?
Well, yes, mainly we are focused on technologies, but we have to really think that, well, we are at the end, we are replicating the idea also of Interreg Europe, because what we want to share are and to connect the quadruple helix, thinking that there is the industry, there are the patients, and always focusing on them, on the patient and on the real demands of the hospitals, of the health professionals as well. So I think this living lab model should be spread in all Europe. I know that there are some European initiatives, such as the ENOL and also the EIT Health, that they are taking the idea of the living lab model, especially now during the COVID-19 crisis. So I think it's a good opportunity that other regions can implement this model as well.
Yeah, that's true. I want to thank you so much for your presentation. If you have any more questions, do share those on Slido. We're going to end with José María right here. And I just want to repeat, because we had some sound issues with Anita earlier, but we did get some questions for her. Alessandro was asking which SME sector was the most interested in the vouchers, and Rene was curious to know what resources were used for the voucher system. We're going to get answers to these in Slido. So if you want to know more about the SME voucher system, head over to Slido, because that's where we can all continue the discussion. With that, I want to start heading towards our next speaker. And next up, we've talked about small businesses, we've talked about innovation, we've talked about health. What about culture or cultural heritage? What are we going to do now when times are changing and we're faced with social distancing and different types of challenges? Well, luckily enough, we don't need to start from scratch. A project of ours called CD ETA has already been working on some very interesting digital solutions for cultural heritage. And I'm going to let Franca Fauci from Italy tell you more about those. Hello, Franca, the floor is yours.
Hello, it is a pleasure to be here today representing the CD ETA project, focusing on the digitization of natural and cultural heritage. Now I try to share the screen with the slide.
Yes, we are seeing your screen now and the presentation is just about to come up. We can see it, so Franca, please go ahead.
Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with coronavirus. The coronavirus is causing us to reevaluate what truly matters. More than ever, travel restrictions, the cancellation of real-world events, lockdown, are pushing companies to explore new ways of using technology and to connect with people. And this is the case of many of our stakeholders involved in the CD ETA project. Flagship pioneering companies, referral points for museums, cultural institutions, organizations, and municipalities. Already long before COVID-19 outbreak, those companies have been able to come out from the crowd and come up with something new that's providing a real added value to our European project, thanks to their good practices. As a representative of the Foundation for Research and Innovation of the University of Florence, let me say that we are really proud of CD ETA achievements. The fact that Italian good practices have been a source of inspiration for several partners is the result of a joint effort. Not to mention the continual interaction with our policymaker, the Department for Culture and Research of the Tuscany region. The first action of our action plan itself is devoted to the creation of a database of best practices concerning digitization, natural and cultural heritage onto the Tuscany platform. And during the thematic seminar dealing with the digitization of museums and galleries, which took place in Florence in May 2017, we had the opportunity to share main best practices with a large audience. Indeed, two best practices attracted the interest of our Greek partner, Patras University, and because of their high technology level. And they are Galileo Museum App and Uffizi Virtual Experience, Uffizi Touch, by the Italian company Centrica. Galileo Museum App is a free guide to the museum, accompanying the visit with audio commentaries, text pages and videos, and allowing the visitor to discover the outstanding collections of scientific instruments gathered over 4 centuries. Uffizi Virtual Experience, Uffizi Touch by the Italian company Centrica, is the first immersive, interactive digital exhibition dedicated to the art collection of the Uffizi Gallery. So more than 1,100 works of art digitized in a very high resolution with advanced technologies, interactive systems for a learning and entertaining experience. Both good practices were discussed and analyzed during stakeholder meetings led by Patras University. And then they were included in the Greek Action Plan and presented to the Regional Council of Western Greece, which took them into account in a call for projects within the regional operational program. And the proposed action aimed to boost economic development of enterprises in Western Greece in the context of creative industries. And therefore, on April 2019, they launched a call named Support of Creative Industries in Western Greece to finance projects combining IT technologies with culture. And the aims was also to develop similar solutions that could valorize cultural heritage using innovative digital technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality. A total of 82 proposals were submitted, and each of these projects has a maximum budget of 300,000 euros. After the evaluation process of this proposal is finished, the University of Patras will monitor the implementation of the project that derived from 2D data best practices. And it will be interesting for us as the knowledge exporter to assess the impact of our good practice in Greece, thus becoming a knowledge importer, further inspiration for our own region. It really is a process of mutual exchange of knowledge. And we can also talk about mutual exchange of knowledge also when referring to our pilot action carried out in a collaboration with the Estonian War Museum. There's a slide focusing on adapting the 3D modeling best practice from 2D data project to the Estonian situation. Although Estonia is well advanced in ICT development and in digitizing heritage artifacts in museums and memory institutions, there is a clear need to increase the use of 3D modeling to boost cooperation between museums and creative culture industries. For that reason, the Italian good practice digital fabrication techniques for cultural heritage by Visual Computing Lab has been taken as a model for transfer. And this good practice shows the several possibilities provided by 3D model. Artifacts made accessible through 3D can be used for several purposes, tourism, academic purposes, for promoting culture and creative industries. And through adapting the 3D modeling price from Tuscany to Estonia, cooperation with the culture and creative industry will increase, and the work will contribute to achieve the main objectives and aims of the Estonian operational program for cohesion policy funds.
Thank you, Franca, for that. I think it's very inspiring because I think as a project, you've been kind of lucky in the sense that you already have all these good practices, and it's impressive to see that some of them have already been transferred with very good results to other regions as well. So I think this is something where all of us can draw some inspiration from. Now, I just want to ask you one kind of follow-up question, thinking about the current COVID-19 crisis and the work that you've done in the project. How do you see the importance of cooperation and working together between regions in these difficult times? What is the role of Interreg Europe in all this?
For sure, in the troubling times of COVID-19 outbreak, cooperation is needed more than ever. And in addition to the project still running, the policy learning platform may also give concrete online support to European regions through the variety of tools on offer to all those looking for solutions to their regional challenges. We can say that we can firmly believe in the value of cooperation and the power of creating links between professionals all around Europe. It is vital that this work continues.
Yes, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I fully agree with you on this. Just one more question. I don't see any specific ones on Slido, but if you have some questions for Franca about good practices related to cultural heritage and digitization, feel free to send them through. What I would like to know is that you've been working on apps, you've been working on 3D modeling, you've been working on kind of advanced solutions to make cultural heritage more accessible. But what about those regions who might hesitate a little bit and think about whether these types of tools are right for them? What would you tell them?
So the physical experience remains paramount. I think that the digitization and remote access solutions can help communities to connect with each other during confinement, and providing psychosocial help through records of shared cultures, languages, creative expression. So the message is, please join with us to turn the threat of COVID-19 into an opportunity to make creativity and knowledge accessible through digital images anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's a good message to end on. Thank you so much, Franca, for joining us. We're going to finish here, but as said before, if you have any additional questions, if you want to continue the discussion, feel free to head over to Slido, where you can all share your comments and also your experiences. And that brings me to our next topic, because we've shared some examples here, we've shared some solutions, but I know that there are more of those all around Europe, and we want to know about those too. We are making our solutions available, everything that comes out of our projects. We have a database full of solutions. We're tagging them with COVID-19 to highlight the ones that are particularly relevant in these times. But we want to hear about your solutions as well. Let us know if you have some. We're going to launch another poll in Slido. And I want to show you what is happening in Lille, where we are based. Let's have a look at this, and we'll be back right after. In Lille, a publicity campaign was designed to attract people to its small shops in a safe and secure way. Hundreds of local volunteers are sewing masks that are being distributed to citizens for free. What did your region do to boost small businesses? Share your examples with Interreg Europe. So, as you heard from the Commissioner, extraordinary times require extraordinary measures and extraordinary people. We know that you've got some solutions and we want to hear about them. So do share. We're going to talk about how towards the end of the session, but please know that our good practice database is open for solutions. We have a Let's Share section on our Europe Cooperates website, where you can also pass your comments. And you can tag anything and everything relevant to help regions out of this crisis with the tag COVID-19 to make it accessible for others. We also want to hear about your questions. If you're hesitating or if you need certain types of solutions, let us know, because we would love to help you. Now, while you think about which solution you're going to share, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. We have one more project example that we want to share with you today, and this one is going to come from Spain. We're going to head over to Ana Martínez Pinilla from the Energy Agency in Extremadura, and she's going to talk about results of the Finnerpol project and some new financial instruments for energy renovation. Ana, I can see that you're already with us. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us today to share Finnerpol results. I am going to share my screen here. Okay. Well, Finnerpol project is a first call Interreg Europe project. The main objective was to boost the energy renovation of buildings through the use of financial instruments. But what is a financial instrument? This is something that many of us, including our stakeholders, didn't know the answer exactly. They didn't know about the benefits of a financial instrument. So the project was a challenge from the beginning, because none of the partners were experienced in this field. So instead of learning from each other, which is the usual way of cooperation of Interreg Europe, we have to learn together. We have to look into good practice around Europe. We even visit some of them. And it was very fruitful, because we gather a lot of information from other regions, and we compile all of them in a tool, a very interesting tool, which is the Finder Map. It's a georeference map where all the good practice could be filtered, could be analyzed. And this it was very helpful for partners, because they could go there and identify those good practice with more potential of replicability in the regions. Apart from this important tool, The project also funded the elaboration of an ex-ante assessment, which is a compulsory document in order to create a financial instrument within an operational program. This document identified the market failure and the funding gap. And from the conclusion of this document, some of the partners identified the need of the creation of a financial instrument to cover the funding gap. This is the case of Extremadura and City of Prague. In our case, in the case of Extremadura, from good practice like CREDEX and Pomorsky, and from the result of the ex-ante assessment, we are creating a portfolio guarantee fund for wide-scale residential buildings, for the renovation of these buildings, as we identify that there were a lack of a specific product for this sector, a low demand from the homeowners, and a necessity to cover and to boost these renovation works. It was the idea, but the first step in order to do that was the awareness raising of our policymakers about the benefit of a financial instrument, as they were not familiar with this type of financing. So the involving of them in the interregional exchange, in the interregional events, in the local stakeholder meetings, in the site visits was crucial in order to get that. We have an additional program. We had to change our operational program. We need to modify it in order to allow the use of European funds through a financial instrument. Until this moment, only grants were able to be used through the European funds. So we have first to amend the operational program. So we can say that although the final result of the project will be the creation of this innovative financial scheme, the great achievement in Extremadura, thanks to FINERPOL project, has been the change in the policymakers' mind. So the move from the traditional grants to more innovative financial schemes which are more effective, as they can replicate public money. The leverage is higher, and they are more useful for the times that are living right now. So this financial instrument is being established at the moment, so we are in the process to do it. And the innovation in our case is the use of European funds as a guarantee for the financing. So this guarantee will allow the mobilization of 30 million of private funding. 30 million euros of private investment, thanks to only 5 million from European funds. So we can see here how we are mobilizing and how we are replicating public money. This is, as you can see in the picture, this is the structure of the financial instrument, which is quite complex, as a lot of entities has different roles. Apart from the financial guarantee, it is very important here the role of AGNS, our energy agency, as we are providing the technical guarantee, which is important in this case also. So we have another example in the FINERPOL project, which is the case of City of Prague. In the case, they are establishing a totally different financial instrument. They have implemented the INFIN program, which is a loan, but instead of the target is not the renovation of buildings, so it's not the works. The target will be the small and medium enterprises, younger and startup in concrete, that are dedicated to the field of energy efficiency and renewable energy sources. And thanks to the FINERPOL project, they could orientate this financial instrument that was already being created to this sector, which is being developed right now and needs to be boosted. So I would like to conclude saying that FINERPOL project can contribute in so many ways to this recovery crisis after the COVID-19. For example, in the case of Extremadura, we can say that our financial instrument is in line with European plans right now, the European Commission plans. As we have been heard in the last weeks, the renovation of buildings, residential and public buildings, will start the recovery plans. Apart from that, we can say that we will mobilize the construction sector in Extremadura, in concrete the energy renovation field, and we will contribute to the growth and jobs in the region. In the case of Spain, it's very curious, and we were very surprised when we contacted them in order to find out how the financial instrument could be contributing to the recovery plans. And they informed us that the INFIN program was already transformed in the last few weeks. So basically, the amount of funding from 16 million euros was reduced to 1.6 million euros. And the amount that is left was transferred to a new financial instrument called COVID PRAG, which is dedicated to the recovery of the crisis, and the target is for small and medium enterprises. It was very successful. They launched the call, and after 10 minutes, all the amount was already allocated. The 600 million euros were already gone. So we can see that this is a great example of the versatility that a financial instrument can be. They could be applied to different sectors, to different fields, different targets, and in different contexts. So once that we have changed our mind, it's very easy to reuse the concept.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Anna.
That we should learn from the COVID-19 crisis is that the sustainability and the resilience to the climate change must be at the heart of any long-term recovery. FINERPOL projects is a cooperation program which tries to break the financial barriers in order to promote projects in the low-carbon economy field. So, and this is the path that we should follow.
Yes, thank you. I was cutting you a little bit short there, but I think this is a very inspiring example, not only because of the impressive results you have achieved, but also because it shows that these types of financial instruments really can be a very versatile tool, and you've very well managed to even adapt them already to the current context. So I think there is a lot of inspiration already there in your story for us to kind of take home with us. I had a lot of questions, but as you were going further, you kind of answered all of them for me already. But what I would still want to know is that, financial instruments often sound very complicated and difficult to set up. What do you think was for you in FINERPOL the most important thing? Was it really more the mindset change of taking these ideas, or having some concrete examples, or what was it that helped you to kind of achieve the results that you did?
I think it's a mix of everything, you see. First, we have to start learning. So we need to have a good practice to learn from. So that is the first step. In our case, it was very difficult to learn from other partner regions because they didn't have any good practice to share. So it was quite difficult, this part. But the learning together and the involvement of the stakeholders in all the learning process was crucial. They could see from the very beginning of the project the benefit of the financial instrument and their willingness to move to this path. We started as well the ex-ante assessment, which is the support document that we have to prove the necessity of this financial instrument, and altogether has made possible this the modification of the operational program. So we were invited to the monetary committee to present the results, and from that point, following the next steps in order to establish the financial instrument. So without a vulnerable experience, that would not be possible.
Yeah, that is excellent. Anna, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience, and I hope the others found it very inspiring as well. If you want to know more, just pass your questions to Anna through Slido, and we will get back to you with more information, because this is not possible to cover very thoroughly in a couple of minutes, so do ask for more details. With this, we have now covered our 4 project examples and the solutions that we have to offer you today. It doesn't mean that we're done with the program though, because we still have some more content that we want to share with you. But I just want to switch the focus a little bit. So now we've showed what we can do, what kind of results we already have, what kind of solutions we can share. Now it's time to start thinking a little bit about the future. It is time to launch the next part of our program. Now what? And for this part, as I said, it's going to be mostly future we're talking about, but it's more also about taking stock of where we are. Times are difficult, but we all need solutions. We have different types of challenges that we're trying to address and solve. What can we do about it? I want to bring one more guest speaker in. We're going to head over to the Netherlands and have Albert Haan join us. He's a managing authority with a long experience in interregional cooperation. And I just want to talk a little bit about how he sees the role of cooperation in addressing challenges and crises. Hello, Albert.
Hello, Miia.
Hi, I'm glad
Thank
to have you.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Perfect.
And greetings from the Northern Netherlands to all the visitors of this event, of course. I'm happy to contribute from the perspective of a regional management authority on the ERDF program.
Excellent. And I want to go right into that.
When it comes to the future and expectations, well, first let me explain what makes Interreg Europe so important for us. It's in fact the only program that is focusing on improving policies and professionalize people working on effective policy instruments. And of course, that's core business of management authorities. And when we look at challenges in Europe, and the COVID crisis is just adding a very serious dimension to it, it is important to have effective policies and effective policy makers also on regional level. So that's one of the main points. And my second point is that, and that's also a unique asset of the program, that it enables cooperation with all EU regions. And this is also, when it comes to regional development, a very important asset.
This is true.
And when you look at our region, we have more than 20 Interreg Europe projects going on. With partners and stakeholders in our region, and up to 100 partners from almost every country in the EU. And we as a region, we get a whole lot of experience by this cooperation. And I have to be honest, we were really surprised by the enormous amount of projects and stakeholders in our region. And because of this, together with colleagues from the provinces and the national contact point, we organized several meetings with all the Interreg Europe projects in our region to also exchange experience and learn from each other on regional level. So these are for me the main points of interest for the Interreg Europe program.
Yes, I think that sums up very well kind of what the role of cooperation is and how it makes it important and how you've kind of worked with it all these years. I want to look a little bit more into the very current context and the COVID-19 situation. Do you have maybe an example from your region on what you've done, how you've addressed the current crisis, and if there's maybe some sort of role that cooperation has played in it?
Yes, I will give you an example, Miia. Policies make only sense when they are effective and responsive. And I think the way the COVID crisis is handled underlines this very much. And it is good to see how quick EU programs try to react. And as already mentioned by the Commissioner, with extraordinary measures, but also on regional level, we need to have the capacity for quick response within our programs. And I can give you an example of the Northern Netherlands. My colleagues and colleagues from the provinces, they were able to make, within the framework of our existing ERDF program, in just 3 weeks' time, a COVID-19 tender. We developed the tender, opened it, and more than 20 projects responded on it. And our expert panel selected the most promising projects. And as we speak, 5 projects are already working on developments in the medical sector to fight the COVID-19 crisis. And why could we do this? I think it's because of having professionalized policy instrument makers. We have a very effective and responsive governance structure in our region. And last but not least, because you can program whatever you want, but you need also a very dedicated and responsive region with stakeholders. And when you look at the response with those more than 20 project initiatives, well, it's great to see how also the region has learned and how effective they are.
I think that's a perfect example of learning in practice and kind of putting the capacities that you've built into good use. And I mean, just the speed at which you managed to put together the call is quite impressive. If we have any other managing authorities following us, and if you have some other examples to share, please do pass that on to Slido. Because Albert, I want to turn our gaze a bit towards the future. I know we've been talking a lot about the crisis and all that, and we will find a way out of it together. But what do you see in the future for cooperation? How would you like to see it continue in the years to come?
Yes, and like you said, Miia, of course, at the moment, the COVID outbreak is dominant and is forcing us in isolation. But we are convinced that internationalization and interregional cooperation is important for our regional development. And an important lesson learned over the last years is that meeting people in their own setting, in the interactive experience of coming together and learning from each other is very important. And Zoom, for sure, cannot compete with that. And it's also very promising to see that also after project activities, partners in Europe, like from Poland, Greece, Slovakia, they are still in frequent contact with us. And it would be a great thing to see as a result of Interreg Europe, that there would be a community of professional regional policymakers which are in contact with each other and exchange learnings.
Yes, further cooperation is definitely something important. We are getting towards the end of our time together. So Albert, I want to thank you so much for sharing all these comments. I know that you've also had some cooperation with some project partners from other projects like Clusterify, and you've already shared some of your experience of how you managed to react to the COVID crisis and adapt to it in your own region.
Yes.
I would ask.
Maybe Miia.
Yeah.
Just for one more moment, because we were talking about the future. I would like to mention just 2 wishes. We also have wishes.
Sure.
We would like to see a better link to smart specialization strategies within the coming projects. And what we also would like to see is from the program side, more direct contact and communication with management authorities like us, and not only the contact with lead partners. So there are also wishes.
All right, so I'm going to make note of that, more direct contact with the MAs, focus on smart specialization. And I just want to say, if you want to learn more about Albert's experience, if you want to know how they've been so quick to adapt in their region, do ask in Slido. Albert will tell you more. We will pass all the info there. I want to wrap up with Albert right here because I still want to stay on the topic of future for a little bit longer. And I think this is probably something that many of you are also interested in. What's going to happen? Are there new calls? What's going to happen with the new program? And to do that, I promised earlier in this session that we would bring Nico back for some additional remarks. And I want to turn to him now because Nicolas joined us here in the studio again. Hello, Nico. Welcome back.
Hello again.
I want to go into the discussion about the future. We're all curious to know, where are we with the programming? What's going on? What's going to happen in the future? How does it look?
Yeah, I can imagine this is an interesting question for all our audience. I'm afraid it's a bit too early for me to give you all the details and the content of the future program for a very simple reason, is that these details were not sufficiently discussed nor agreed with our partner states. However, I would like also to mention that the overall framework, like the regulation and the budget, is not stabilized, is not decided yet. So of course, this is for me difficult to go in the details. However, what I'd like to mention is that we are starting discussing the future. And what I can share with you is that we don't expect a big revolution for the next programming period. What I mean by that is that the core features, some core key features should more or less remain the same. Of course, the pan-European coverage of the program will continue being the only Interreg programs helping all EU regions and all member states. A very similar objective, if we look at the regulation now, we would still be dedicated to improving regional development policies. And the way we're going to do that should also be very similar. The regulation mentioned for us exchange of experience, identification, and transfer of practices. So these are the ingredients, if I can say so, that will remain the same. However, the partner states have already expressed a wish of evolution, not revolution, but evolution. Mm-hmm. One of this wish is that we may be a bit less demanding when it comes to helping structural fund program. We just hear Albert and the nice experience of Albert, but the member states would like to lighten this element in the future. We were very demanding with the project for that. We were insisting on trying to help structural funds. In the future, member states maybe would like projects to be more open in the choice of the policies they would like to improve. And the second element, which is also interesting, in terms of activities, the member states are open for more learning by doing actions. The famous pilot actions we have currently, they would like to open it up more to the projects, to use them more in the learning process. So it's possible that we will also finance more of these pilot actions in the future. The last element, if I may, I would mention, is the thematic scope, because I can imagine it's also of high interest to all of you. And that's where maybe the member states are thinking about an interesting evolution. Instead of being a very strict program with thematic priorities, as we have now, four thematic priorities, the member states are thinking to adopt only one cross-cutting priority on capacity building, which would give more flexibility to this program. Nevertheless, it's very likely that the member state will decide to allocate the big bulk of the money still to the high priority topics in our program. And I can already tell you today that from what we see with the member states, there's two issues that are high on the agenda. It's Smarter Europe, the policy objective 1, and it's also Greener Europe, of course, the policy objective 2. So maybe a big amount of the money will be dedicated to that, but there will be still some flexibility. A small part of the money could still be available to finance any kind of topics of interest for the EU regions. That's more or less what we can say at this stage.
All right, but that's interesting. So no revolution, gradual evolution. We'll see how it goes. Stay tuned for the updates. But Nico, I cannot help but ask. We don't know when we'll have the new program, but we know that it's coming. Can you tell us a little bit more about the timeline? I mean, give us a rough estimate. When can we expect to have maybe a new call, new projects?
Yes, of course, for the regions, it's important to know this. Well, you have to know that tomorrow we have our third programming committee, online programming committee. And hopefully tomorrow we will progress on the first part of the strategy. We would like our member states to approve this first part of the strategy. Then the second semester will be dedicated to the remaining parts of the cooperation program. Our objective is to finalize this program by the end of the year. Then The beginning of next year, 2021, will be dedicated to the approval process. It's a bit heavy in such a big program. The approval process for each member states, but also the approval process toward the Commission. So to conclude, realistically, we don't expect the new program to start at the earliest by the end of 2021, more probably by the beginning of 2022. The last point I would mention, if you're interested, is that all this version of the cooperation program will also be published on our website. We have a dedicated page on the future. So you may also be interested to look at what are the plans and even to react whether these plans make sense for you.
Yes, so stay tuned, keep an eye on our website, it's coming. And I just want to remind you that even though it's going to take a little while before we get to the next program and have new calls for projects, there's still many ways to get involved. The platform services are there, our projects keep sharing more results, so definitely there are ways to benefit from cooperation as of right now. I don't want to spend much more time talking about the future because it's still a little bit vague, but we did get a lot of questions today from our participants, and I just want to pick up one now that I have the benefit of having you here with me. Carlos was actually the first person who posted question on Slido, so I just want to pick this up and have a little chat with you on that. He's asking how to identify common challenges and launch and share solutions in an agile way within a brief period of time. We've kind of touched upon some of these aspects today, but would you maybe have an insight to share on this?
My first reaction when you look at something quick, efficient, answering the challenge that I face with others that have the same challenge, immediately come to my mind the peer review of the policy learning platform. You do not need to prepare a whole project, and anyway, there's no money available for project, but this is the whole aim of the peer reviews, I would say, of the policy learning platform. You face an issue in your regions, you would like to find others in Europe that can help you to solve this issue in one of our thematic priorities. I would advise Carlos to look at this specific service that the policy learning platform is offering and its ongoing calls. So that may be, I think, the most adapted services for him that Interreg Europe can offer.
Yes, and we do have more. Nico, I want to thank you right now for everything you've shared with us today. I think very insightful, very useful information. We're going to wrap up with Nico right now because we still have one special guest to wrap up our program of today. No Europe Let's Cooperate would be complete without some inputs from our director, Erwin Siweris. He's not here in the studio with us today, but he will join us from our offices in Lille.
Online event.
Erwin, are you there? Can you hear us? Let's see if the line is working.
Yes,
Erwin?
Miia, I can hear you well, and it was great to participate in this online event.
Yes, I'm glad about this event as well. I just want some of your insights.
I mean, first of all, we have so many more solutions and experience to share. And I can only invite you to join us looking at our website, have a look at the good practice database. We have more than 1,000 other solutions, good practices, which are available for all regions in Europe. I offer also that you have a look at the services of the policy learning platforms. We offer thematic events, we offer thematic information letters, and we offer peer reviews, tailored exercises where regions in Europe work together, experts to find solutions for common problems. And of course, our team is there to help you all the time. Don't hesitate to contact us whenever you have a problem, whenever you want to see a solution, whenever you want to implement the solutions. My team is here to help you.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's also what we are here for today. We are here to help you, to share, to connect, and to network. So make use of all these opportunities. Erwin, because we're getting towards the end of our session, I still want to ask you, what would be the message that you want to leave to our participants today? What would be the key takeaway for them?
Yeah, the first message is what we always say, we don't have to reinvent the wheel in all corners of Europe. The solutions are there, they work, the regions have implemented them. They are solutions which prove to work, which prove to be useful. Make use of it. We have also learned that we all have to adapt all the time. The crisis showed this especially, and the regions were able to adapt, and we want to help the regions to adapt. Other regions found solutions already how to deal with the crisis. This knowledge is there, this knowledge is offered to all regions of you. Make use of it. The situation is difficult, we know this. We offer our help. Come to us, keep on going, keep on cooperating. Thank you.
Thank you for these messages. And I can only repeat, make use of these opportunities, connect, cooperate. Europe Cooperate has been just a start, but it does not end here. This is where it starts, so keep sharing. I want to highlight a couple of the follow-up opportunities that Erwin just mentioned, and I think we have a slide to show on that as well. First of all, let's share. We have a dedicated section on our event website for you to share your solutions or ask questions. This is a very simple form where you can just kind of share your good ideas or your solutions, something that others might benefit from. Or if you feel like you're facing challenges in your region and you would need some support, maybe some new ideas, some inspiration, you can post a question and you can benefit from the fact that this has been the most popular Interreg Europe event we've organized thus far, with more than 1,000 participants registered. So this is the time to pick their brain and see what you can share with them and what they can learn from you. The other way I want you to follow up after this event is to make use of our community contacts. We have an attendee list online on our website, so you can browse through all those 1,000+ people and see who shares your interests. And we also want you to keep talking in Slido. Slido is going to stay open. We're going to be there after this session ends for about half an hour to answer the remaining questions, but it's going to stay open until Thursday, so you can go back and share more solutions. And we have some PLP webinars from the Policy Learning Platform coming in the next weeks. If we can still bring the slide back for a little bit longer, and you will see the dates. Registration for all these 4 webinars is now open, so all you need to do is go to our website, interregeurope.eu/policylearning, and this is where you will find all the info, and you can sign up to the ones that match your interests. I'm sure you'll find at least one. So that is it. We're almost done with today's program. We have one little section left, and this is where I say, over to you. The floor is yours. This concludes what we have to share with you, and now it is your time. We have one more poll that we want to launch and run it by you and get some final inputs from you. This time we want to know, what is it that you're going to be doing afterwards? So don't be shy. Let us know. Are you going to meet us in the chat? Do you maybe have a good practice you can share? Remember, our database is open. You can tag them with COVID-19 to make sure that it's context specific. You can join us in one of the upcoming webinars. The 4 that are coming in the next days are only the start. There's more to follow. We've been talking about other platform services. There is a peer review call that is permanently open. You can apply, you can get expert help, or maybe you want to wait until the next program. As you heard, it's going to be a little bit of a long wait, so maybe in the meantime you want to check out some of the other opportunities that we offer for you. Keep sending in your answers, because we're really curious to know what you're going to do next. At this point, all that is left for me to say is thank you so much for joining. It has been a pleasure to do a special online edition of Europe Cooperates and have you here with us. We will share all the materials on the event website. A recording will be available very soon, and we will also share a link to an evaluation, because we would love to get some feedback from you, hear what you thought about the event, and what we can do differently next time. But now, really, it is on your side. This has been the start of Europe Let's Cooperate, and we hope you keep cooperating, keep sharing, keep networking, and keep reaching out to other regions. Thank you very much from the entire Interreg Europe team, and see you soon.